Hey everyone, welcome back to another build video. Fancy seaweed. Welcome to Autumn Manor Part 2. This is going to be mostly furnishing of our recent build we did, Autumn Manor, so it should be pretty fun. But before we get into it, a quick reminder that again, I am still trying to build this YouTube channel, so any subscribes here or follows and, hanging out over on Twitch, greatly appreciated. I really do enjoy doing these build videos, and I really do enjoy building on stream as well, so definitely recommend that you come over and see me on Twitch if you haven't yet. But yeah, so welcome in. Like I said, this is part 2, so if you are curious how we got here, make sure that you do look up the free-to-play build series, part 1, Autumn Manor. I finally made categories in my YouTube. I didn't know how to do it. I figured it out. So it should be pretty easy to find from my YouTube page. But yeah, go ahead and watch that, and that'll give you most of the frame ideas of how we got to where we are. So quick reminder on what free-to-play build means. Free-to-play build means that everything in this build that I'm using is technically free in game. Now that does mean that some stuff you will not be able to get depending when you start the game or when you've played the game, because some of them are login rewards, some of them are special events in game and stuff like that. So if you don't see some of these items, unfortunately, it's probably a timing issue. But hopefully they'll continue to kind of institute different things that allow you to get past rewards and drops that maybe you weren't around for. I'm hoping they continue to add more stuff. But yeah, so I decided, words are hard. I decided to do something a little bit different this time. And if you see me turning my house into a thrift store, essentially I was like, oh, you know what would be so much easier is if I just had all of the free-to-play items that I knew that I would potentially want to use out. Because I'm getting to the point where I am very lucky, and I'm not complaining, but I have a lot of sets. And I would love to see in the future that they add some kind of set, like, filtering system. There's a way that they do it in The Sims where you can, like, pick certain packs. And I think that would be really cool, because there's, like, certain packs that are, like, in my mind, really worth. So if you were like considering buying certain packs in this game to build, I would love to do certain themes. If that's something that you're interested in, definitely comment below this video or the other video. It could really make for a little bit of a free-to-play plus kind of vibe, which could be fun. But yeah, I was like, you know what? Instead of having to scroll through for every single possible item, see, even just the plants. Literally just the plants. I have so many plants, and don't get me wrong, I love plants. Plants equal clutter. Clutter is one of the best ways to make a house homey, especially when you are lacking more items. But just trying to find and then remember which ones are actually free to play. I will be honest, every time I sign in and do this, I do worry that I'm going to put something in the build that is not free to play and I'm going to get like attacked. So I'm conscious of that. If you ever do see something, feel free to let me know in the comments. It's not intentional. It's just that there's so many items I get a little bit distracted. But yeah, so if you watched part 1, a couple different notes. So this is in Eternaland. It is, I don't have the structure and item count because of that, but it did give me a little bit more freedom when it came to building. But also, it being in Eternaland, I don't know why, but if you just saw with those cabinets, normally what I'll do is I'll flip them upside down because then you can use the wall cabinets as floor cabinets or like counters, essentially. But like what was happening, which was weird, was on the curved walls, they didn't let me flip them. That's the first time I've ever seen that happen. And I don't know if it's Eternaland rules or if it was just a bug that day. I did go and try it in my main world yesterday when I was building, and it was fine. So I really don't know what caused that, but it did force me to be a little bit more creative with this build. It did force me to be a little bit more like normal placing with some of my items. But yeah, it was really weird. And I was just like, oh, okay, that's fine. It ends up really cool. This is like the kitchen area, and I actually really like how it turns out. I noticed, and I said this yesterday in stream because I was building the kitchen in my main world. I forget refrigerators. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about refrigerators. I don't know. I think I just focus too much on the build, like the pretty items, that I forget about refrigerators and stoves. Here I did remember a stove. But yeah, I just full forgot about a refrigerator until a very long time. You'll see we eventually get 2 refrigerators into this build, and I actually like the way that it turns out. Sometimes it's better that that kind of stuff happens because then it allows me a little bit more, I don't know, creativity and maybe like a different design than what would have been my comfort. But yeah, if you notice that there is no fridge, you are in fact right. There is no fridge. There will be fridges, but it just takes a minute for my brain, my brain to catch up. So as far as this house goes, I actually, and again, I tell this story in the first video, so apologies if you just watched that, came into this, and now you're getting repetitive. I am so sorry. But basically the way that this video idea came out is that a friend of mine, she was asking me for like ideas on how to do a build for like a certain pool style that she has. She was using one of the garden sets, the one that has like the fountain and like the fancy tiles, and it's very like French garden kind of style. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, Victorian, like a Victorian style home would look really nice. And I was just kind of like going through, placing things down, giving her a general idea of what a Victorian like base is. So then I was like, oh, you know what? It'd be really interesting to see if I can actually do a Victorian build in like free to play, because I do think that there are sets that we have that lend themselves well to like more of a Victorian or classic, like elegant builds. But the base items are a little bit lacking. So it was kind of a fun challenge to go ahead and see how far I could get. I'd say this is definitely like, this is kind of contradictory, but kind of like a modern Victorian. So it has Victorian elements, but it doesn't hold to like Victorian standards. So I say again, I said this in the first video, don't come at me for that. It's just, you know, be patient. It's a Victorian inspired while working within the free-to-play guidelines. So yeah, just be nice, be nice. But yeah, so this kitchen, I always love starting with a kitchen. I don't know why, but like, in my mind, kitchens are always the heart of the home in whatever build that I do. And I'm a person who really enjoys cooking for people. And I think that that's something that I just like think about, you know, in life as well. So it's always a really fun, like nice way for me to start a build, because I think that it allows me a little bit of like happiness at the beginning and motivation, you know, because like I really want to work on it. So I think that's why I usually start with the kitchen. But yeah, so we've got the base parts of the main counters in the kitchen. I don't know if you saw, I was trying to use these like antique kind of chairs, and I forgot that I still don't actually have the blueprint for them. So there's a ton of bot packs that I have, but a ton of base game stuff I still haven't found yet. I clearly need to get to the black felt grinding. Like that table that I'm placing down right now, I was trying to place down. I don't actually have. I don't have the recipe for it. So everybody's gotta grind. You gotta grind to get some of the base stuff. Also, this bookshelf, I love it. I really wish that they would fix like the mouse placement. I don't know if you see that, but my cursor goes to the bottom left of the bookshelf, and it just makes it so much harder to place it. But even with that, it's still a really nice bookshelf. It's a nice little way to add some coziness. So I was like, oh, you know, like I can't fit the bar in here. Apologies if you can hear the sounds of Philadelphia. But I was gonna put a bar in there, and I was like, oh, the bar's too big. It's not gonna fit. So let me do like a little cozy nook, because I don't know about y'all, but I have a little cozy table in my teeny kitchen, and I love to just sit there and have a nice cup of coffee in the morning and sometimes read a book. And I just kind of wanted to emulate that a little bit in this build. So yeah, so we did that. And here I am kind of, we hop around a lot. So again, I started out by placing down not every single free-to-play build item, but the ones that I thought I might use, including a bunch of clutter. So I'm kind of just going through, trying to map out the spaces. I had some initial plans on where I wanted things. Most do end up in those initial places, but some of them do end up moved. Like these, the deviant boxes do end up moving against that little half wall that I put down, because I don't know, I just liked them better. And I was like, this looks too much like one of the builds I did. I'm trying to stick to my integrity of building while still, so you can still tell it's a flea build, but like still giving some new ideas. So this is something that I referenced in the first video. I do some additional construction in this video to accommodate certain things. So as I was kind of looking at the space in this space, the space in the space, is that, you know, as I was looking at the space here in this room, there we go, I was like, oh, this is not going to be enough for a workroom. So this is the workroom, which would include the storage, the furnaces, the synthesis bench, even though I normally never put them in. But I did put one in this build, and I was like, this is not going to be big enough. So we went ahead and we took out some of the wall and kind of pushed it out a little bit. Also, here's another interesting example of like sometimes you just have to delete stuff to get other stuff to work. That pillar would not go in until I removed the walls. Also, I don't know if you saw, but with the new update where things don't need proper supports, if you delete a wall, and I don't know if this is just in Eternal Land, but I deleted those walls and the windows were floating. Kind of weird, but could kind of lend itself to a cool build. I don't know. I don't really know how it would end up, but that was the weird thing I kind of encountered. And I was like, huh, I don't know how to react to that. So yeah, I'll have to try to see if I can replicate that again in the regular worlds. But it worked in Eternal Land, so that's something you can do in Eternal Land. Then for the storage space, I really wanted to use these new ladders. So I don't know if y'all have had the opportunity to look at the additional items that were added into the overall game. So they were items that had existed in PvP, I believe, says the non-PvP player. Ladder, some metal floors and walls, this special kind of doors that are like metal. They're kind of like Dune style doors, if I'm being completely honest. And then like a garage door, which is actually really cool. It actually like full on opens up like a garage door. So those were recently added into PvE. So we now have those options for building. I will say that they aren't very pretty. They are very aesthetically PvP based. Not that PvP can't be pretty, but they're more function over form. So I would love to see them come out with color options, maybe allow us to like paint the garage door or paint that ladder, because like although it looks like a realistic ladder, it's orange. I don't want an orange ladder. But for this particular case, because it is a workroom, you know, I actually think it does work pretty well. I think it looks kind of cool, and it just gives a different it gives more opportunity for us for building, because now you can have access to things where you normally wouldn't have. So I put some deviations up there. Well, I put the secure main units up there. I didn't actually put the deviations down because I realized, you'll see me in a bit, I actually do put my Rebecca in so she can be by the piano. And the amount of deviations I have in my Eternal Land is, I don't want to talk about it. This was my first time building in Eternal Land, and I have done, I don't even know how many seasons since last December, and I need to organize, but that's a whole other can of worms that I'm not willing to go down right now. So anyway, we've got those little babies up there, and I was like, oh, I have this other area in the hallway where I could also put additional deviations. And I was trying to get the ladder to fit, and then I was like, oh, you know what? This ladder kind of makes sense here. It's not entirely logistical, but like, you know, it's just like sometimes you have storage in weird places in your house and you just have weird ways to access it. And I thought that that was like more on the vibe of Victorian anyway. Also, in case you have not seen that white chair and couch before, those are some of the items that were added into the season shop Mitsuko loot crates. So definitely make sure that you check that out. I have mentioned them a few times. They're a really great opportunity to get some items that you may not have been around for. So those do have some Twitch drops, some other just like outfits and things that have come out that aren't like just randomly discoverable in game, but are now in that loot crate. So you basically roll your Mitsuko marks for those items, which is really cool. And it's another way of, especially if you can't afford the like regular paid loot crates, it's a way to get the Gamba feel without actually spending money, even though I spent all of mine on the loot crates to get that couch and chair. And then they came out with 2 new statues, and I want them, and they're really cool, and I'm sad that I don't have them. So now I have to build up my Mitsuko marks. But it's another thing to grind for, which I always love. So here we are. We're kind of working on the living room space, but as you can see, I'm kind of hopping around. I do a lot of hopping around in general when building, but in particular in this build, because I did randomly place things down at the beginning, it it is a little more hoppy aroundy, if that makes sense. But I'm kind of making like a cozy little game corner. I imagine one of those shelves has like games on it, and I don't know, that just seems like a fun thing for me. Here I am trying to close things in a little bit because, like I said, I did want to keep like a Victorian influence as much as I possibly could. And I think I end up removing that curved floor there entirely because I want this dang pillar to go down. I don't know if I ever get the pillar to work. I'm actually curious. Do I ever get that pillar to work or do I just give up? I think wait, did I get it? Or did I give up? I think I gave up. Yeah, I don't know why that one wouldn't work. I might come back to it later, but sometimes you just gotta admit defeat. So this is where I start to scroll through. See, it got so angry because it was like, wait a minute, girlie, you have so many deviations. So yeah, I gave up on that too. Eternaland is going to be a big thing for me to figure out how to conquer, but I do really think it's going to like allow me to do some really cool builds for y'all. I think the next one I'm going to do is a like modern smaller home because I haven't actually done a modern home. It will not be like a phase 1, phase 2 completable. This is where I remember their fridge. But it'll be a concrete, like I'll probably be using the 8th concrete slabs because those are really, or concrete walls because those are really nice for modern builds. But yeah, so I'm just like, oh, I forgot the refrigerator. And here's where I move the babies. I always love to add a little rainbow light because then, 1, you've got gay lighting. We love gay lighting. 2, you can also make sure that all of your deviations are covered as far as their light needs, which is really nice. And then what am I looking for here? Okay, I'm just kind of looking for additional facilities and stuff that I might have missed. Trying to figure out where to place all of these random items that I have. I meant to put a photograph on that, but I actually forgot. But yeah, we've got a little work area over here. I love the industrial set stuff. It just makes me really happy. And I really wish I had it all. I don't have any of it except for the lights, I don't think. It makes me sad. Oh, the lights and the bed, because the bed you can get from the same Mitsuko Mark shop. So here I was like, oh, you know, I could, even though I can't flip these the other way, maybe we could try to make it look like a built-in. And I actually really like how this ended up. And I also like how the clock got moved over there. So I will say, along with the counter or the cabinets being weird to put on the walls, the shelves are also a little weird since the update. You used to be able to, like, especially if you put them upside down, glitch them together a little bit more. And now they just kind of bug out, which is a little bit of a bummer. But, you know, it's whatever. It happens. And a real quick note, I did mention this in my my willow cabin build. But one thing I like to do is I like to set up an environment however I'm going to want it to be eventually. So there you saw me kind of opening up some curtains and stuff like that. And I'll open up doors in certain ways, because that'll influence my building. So I highly recommend, if you have like a particular way you want your space to flow, that when you are decorating, you're mindful of that and you're mindful of like which way your doors are open. This is where I see that because the piano was under the stairs, even though it looked so cute there, Rebecca was not having it. She was playing the piano from the 2nd floor when the piano was on the 1st floor. So I had to scooch it over a little bit for her just so she could have, you know, a proper proper space. But yeah, that's why I just moved the piano. I really did like it under the stairs though. I'm kind of sad that it didn't work, but that's one of those things that would have bothered me long term, so I went ahead and changed it. Here we are, we're working on the bedroom. So I did mention this on the other video, but I'm trying to change up some of the prints and stuff that I'm using, but I do hate when a print is not consistent from top to bottom. So if you see there's those portions where it's a double high print, I have gone through and changed it back to that base gray. Not trying to overuse the base gray, but it is something that, like, it's one of those prints that's seamless and it just makes things look nicer. So that's why we have a little bit of a combination. Also, I kind of like having combinations of prints in different rooms. I think it adds for more variety. And in this case, I think it, you know, with a Victorian style, it kind of gives the idea of like, oh, it's been updated. Like this person did this and this person did this. Like I think that's a cool concept. But yeah, I decided to do a little cozy bathroom. It's not necessarily an ensuite because it's in the same room. But I was like, I don't know, this works. And I got sad because I was like, I don't have a toilet. That's another thing I haven't found. I still haven't found the actual base game toilet. So I think that these builds are going to be incentive for me to go ahead and find that recipe. I'm not as obsessed with it as other people, but I still really want it. I do love me a good build recipe. And I'm one of those people, I won't take blueprints from people. Like I want to find them myself. I will give you a blueprint. If you want a blueprint and I have it, I'll figure out a way to get it to you. But when it comes to actually like taking things from people, I don't like to take help. I'm so sorry. Philadelphia is so loud, and that's just going to be part of our lives right now. But here I am adding some greenery. I do wish that we had some different colors of the greenery. It does end up looking really nice and warm and cozy, but I think it would look cooler if I had like, you know, like autumn color swatches to match those red trees. I think that would be awesome. Or like even some dead options of the vines. I know that in Way of Winter they do get covered in snow, which is really cool. But yeah, it would be cool to have a little bit more variety there. So as I was going through adding the vines and stuff, I was like, oh, you know, I should add some little pots because that'll kind of make it a little bit more autumny. And I don't know why, I just really wanted a bar. So I really wanted to make this bar work. And I actually really enjoy how this space turned out here. This is another one of those spots that I had referenced earlier where I had finished the frame build but added something after. So I really like how this ended up. I wanted to make these lights work so much, but again, with the new update, the way that they snap on stuff has been really, really weird for me. And this build was done immediately after the update, so it might be something that's fixed now. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. So I was a little bit bummed by that, but it's fine. I really do like these pots. These pots, I didn't even know that they were adding them. They're actually, again, they were added into the base game, which is really cool. Even if you're not using them, you can use them as decor. I love a good option for decor, as long as you have the resources, obviously, to build them. So here I am relogging to try to fix the wallpaper. And it fixed! So if you are unaware, I learned that trick and I left this in so I could talk about it. So since one of the updates a little while ago, sometimes you'll paint a wall and it'll go away. It's just gone completely. And someone had told me in chat that you can relog and sometimes that'll reset it. So it's a nice little fix if you're experiencing that bug as well. This is when I remember that I should probably put a synthesis table in. I don't use the synthesis table. It's just not my cup of tea, but you know, it's there, it's in, we did it. I wanted a little bit more cozy lighting. I was fixing these lights I had put in overhead. I'd initially put those in because I wanted to just be able to see the space. So yeah. Then we ended up adding a little downstairs bathroom. Again, we don't have the toilet, but I actually think this ended up pretty cute. So it looks really cozy when it's dark in here too. And I didn't really think about using this sink as a bathroom sink, but like it kind of works. It kind of works as a bathroom sink. I actually really liked how that little bathroom kind of ended up. And of course I'm littering with plants again. I wish we had individual books to put in, but unfortunately that's not an option. These lights are so lovely. The glass is so nice and they give that nice like incandescent like cozy vibe, which we enjoy. And we're starting to get to the end of the builds. I will say at the end of this, we do have a little slow-mo walkthrough of the builds. And when I say slow, I just mean it's not 400 times speed like the rest of the video that I had to make really, really fast so I can fit it in a reasonable time that people actually want to watch. Which, if anybody wants an actual slow build video, let me know. I did one of the pool builds when I very first started playing and building in Once Human, but I haven't done any since because I feel like speed builds are usually easier for people. But let me know if you ever want the full process. For context, just this part was 2 hours. So yeah, thank you guys again so much for hanging out. Thank you again so much for all the love and the follows, and well, I guess subscribes. Also, I guess this is sped up. That's awkward. I forgot I sped this up. But this is what the house looks like. So yeah, make sure that you like and comment and share and do all the fun things. If you liked this build, I think, like I said, my next build is going to be a modern one, probably in Eternal Land as well. But if you have any build requests, please feel free to let me know. If you're interested in that idea of maybe doing free-to-play plus 1 pack. Oh yeah, I forgot about that box there. Let me know. The way it went back down and then back up so I could edit it later. But yeah, thank you guys again so much. Everyone have a great rest of their day, and I hope you enjoyed the VOD. I'll talk to you in the next one.